Welcome back everybody to Myelin and Me, or should I say PIP and Me. If you've got multiple sclerosis and you're going through PIP, this video might just be for you. Or if you've got any other kind of chronic illness, this is for you as well. So this isn't a leaflet version. This isn't a government language. This is me, someone with MS, talking honestly about what the PIP process actually feels like. So if you're here, you're probably confused, stressed or scared, and you're wondering, what am I doing? And you shouldn't have to go through it feeling like you've done something wrong just by asking for help. So I run a channel called Myelin and Me. I live with MS. So this is not medical advice. It's not legal advice. It's real life experience from a bloke who's been through it. So if you're watching this because you're about to have an assessment, or you've just had, maybe just had one, or you're thinking about applying, stay with me, because this could save you a lot of heartache, which is the main thing which we want when we go through this process. We want it to be as easy as possible. So hopefully this video is going to, give you a little bit about, and, wonder what is PIP all about. Well, let me just say this clearly. PIP is not about your diagnosis, okay? It doesn't matter how scary multiple sclerosis sounds, for instance. It's about whether, what your consultant says. PIP is not actually measuring your illness. And I know it's hard to get out to that, isn't it? It's judging your function, for instance, how you move, how you think, how you wash, how you cook, how you communicate, how you manage your medication, how you plan journeys, how you cope with social situations. It's all sorts of things like that. And it sounds quite simple, doesn't it? But it's not. It's not for us, is it? Like I can talk from an MS point of view. It doesn't show up neatly. It fluctuates. Same as a lot of chronic illnesses, etc. It hides. And PIP doesn't like illness that doesn't behave on command. So if you're not linear, they don't like it. So this is why I'm going to show you how to get through this. So, for instance, why, MS is one of the hardest conditions for PIP to understand. Because you might walk today and not tomorrow. You might look fine while you're just dying inside and you're just like, no more. You might manage one day and collapse the next. But PIP doesn't handle your fatigue, your brain fog, your pain that doesn't make you scream, emotion it doesn't show because you're bottling it all up. And the assessment system relies heavily on what you say, how you present, what they see in about an hour defines you. It's not what you live through every single day. And the hardest part is like the mental impact. It's you could argue even the form's not as bad as the actual emotional damage which you've got to go through. You're going to sit there and you're going to feel judged. You're going to feel doubted. You're going to feel, suspicious of yourself. It's like you start asking, am I exaggerating? Am I allowed to feel this bad? Do I really deserve help? You're going to be thinking of things like that. And, I'm just going to tell you the truth. You do. You do deserve this. You're definitely not weak. You're not living with something that, has got an off button. And the system never tells you how heavy it is until you're actually in it. You just don't get that, which is annoying. And then you go on to the thing which, we've talked a lot about this, is the mistakes people make. They say, I'm all right, I'll manage. I try. But PIP here is you cope. You don't struggle. You often, you don't need help. PIP, then it doesn't measure effort, your mental cost, your fear, your embarrassment, your crashes, and the list goes on. It measures frequency, severity, ability. And, from an MS point of view, it doesn't perform neatly for your little tick boxes, which you sat there on the end of the phone, and they're just ticking away, ticking away. One thing you must always remember is PIP isn't a moral test. It's not about bravery. It's not about pride. It's about deserving. It's about impact. What your life is like because of your condition. Mine's MS. It's not who you are as a person. You're not failing PIP. PIP is failing to understand MS. So, speaking to you guys now, and I probably want to connect with you. If you're watching this quietly at night, and you've been Googling, if you're losing sleep, I see you, and you're not being dramatic. You're not exaggerating. You're surviving. And that's the main thing. You're surviving. It's a big, massive thing that you guys are going through. And we've all been through it. And we're going to beat this. I'm not going to keep making videos like this. Oh, I am really. Oh, I am. And I'm going to keep walking the same road with you guys until we get there. So if this has helped or just made you feel less alone, you're welcome here. And if you're navigating PIP with MS, I've got more videos coming up to explain, your daily living, your mobility, your reassessments, your points, the reality beyond the paperwork. So stick with me. And, this channel exists for people like us, people who are going through this and you feel so alone and you don't know which way to turn. And that's where we're going with this. We're not gonna sit back. We're gonna beat it. We're gonna beat the system, which is completely flawed, and we're gonna do this together. Okay, so if you wouldn't mind, just click the subscribe button for me, completely free. Give me a like, give me a comment. I answer every single comment. I read every single comment, and I'll always give you an answer. No matter how bad it is, I'll give you an answer. So, hang in there, keep going, keep watching the videos, and you've got this. Take care till the next one.